This is going to be so good.
Okay. Yes, it is. Okay, so Lisa Wu Hartwell. I remember when she was on Housewives of Atlanta, baby, because it was a lot of juicy gossip going around her and her man. So I know
She
that
was
was
so
interesting.
sweet. She was so sweet.
Mhm.
And so getting to like work with April and just really figuring out, like, I did not like the media pitching and placement part of PR, but I really, really like the event work. And so I have an older cousin who had recently left corporate America and was going full time into his own promotional marketing business. And he and his family live down in Orlando. And he called and he's just like, Jazz, are you working? And I'm like, I'm doing odd jobs, but I wouldn't call it a career.
Mhm.
And so he said, come down for the summer, help me with some stuff for work, help us out with the kids, and, we'll see how it goes. Like, okay. So I packed up, I moved to Florida, and it ended up being just the greatest experience of my life. And honestly, I feel like it set me on a trajectory for future success.
Mhm.
So he had acquired a contract to manage 9 HBCU football classics and music fest activations for a major like adult beverage brand. And so I got to work hand in hand with him to figure out what all the events were going to look like, what promotional items were we going to use, to hire a staff, and just really create this brand experience that was unique to all these different cities. And, it was great for helping me to like really cut my chops in the event space, and then also
Mhm.
like working in the business world. For him, who's like a seasoned corporate professional, like takes no bullshit, like all love, but I don't take stuff.
Mhm.
And then our main client for the brand was like a 20-year friend of his, and she was just this dynamic Black woman. She walked into a room and immediately commanded the attention of everyone who was in there. When she opened her mouth, she knew what she was talking about. And so between the two of them, like, I really helped to build my own like personal brand of who I was as a professional, as someone in the business world, and to be confident and assertive
Yes.
and to not take crap. And I also, learned a few words from them too, for the right occasions. But
Okay.
yeah, so that's what I did. I did it for a couple of years, and honestly, it was just really hard to be in Orlando because the work was so travel intensive. I probably traveled 6 months out of the year. So when you're
Wow.
moving somewhere and you're gone 6 months, all those friends you made that one week you were here have forgotten about you, moved on.
Mhm.
So I moved back to Atlanta and worked for the company for just a little bit longer, and then transitioned to work for the healthcare nonprofit that I still work for almost 10 years later.
Wow. You know what? It's amazing listening to you talk about that period in your life, when you were heavy and building your brand in the event planning space, and this woman that you looked up to, because you'll notice in that arena, there are a lot of men dominating that space, right? So
Yes.
to see a Black woman in there doing it and getting some tips, that is phenomenal. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you've learned in the event planning space, Jasmine?
So the thing that I took with me from all my internships, the opportunity to put in practice, was I had an internship boss named Maya who said, listen, the first rule is tell it all and tell it fast. And
Mhm.
that stuck with me. So when I moved into, the event work, remembering like tell it all and tell it fast, and like everyone is human. So no one expects you to be perfect, but there is certain level of expectation around communicating when something has happened that's outside of the plan, and saying you need help when you need help or you feel like you're drowning. And so that's something that I've always kept with me, and something that I took into that job. And the first time I really learned that, yo, you have to put this into practice, I was in Memphis. We were the Southern Classic. I had this binder that I kept with like all the event stuff. I had, booked the room block for, the client, all the staff. And we got there, and the woman at the front desk, this is actually at the Westin downtown, I'll never forget. And I'm like, yes, we're here. Here's the reservations. And she's like, oh, we don't have that. And there was something that happened with the, like, they didn't have the reservation for the block of time that I thought I reserved it for and needed it for. And like, the boss is here, the client is here, the staff is here. I'm up here trying to like get us checked in. And so our client comes up and she's like, what is going on? And I just like melted down, because it's like, this is the first, you had one job, or you had a lot of jobs, but this is the first one and you messed it up already. Aww. And so, she stepped in and she handled it and was like, just walk away. And so later, she didn't chastise me, but she used it as a teaching moment and was like, listen, you have to make sure when you're doing this, you do A, B, and C, and make sure that you have your documentation. And if you need help, you need to say that. And so just from one to one, like, she didn't sugarcoat it, and she did not say, oh, woo, 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 it's okay. It was, this was messed up, but I was able to fix it, and here's what you need to do in the future. And so having someone be able to give me that coaching and give me that like stern moment, it has stuck with me to the point where, listen, if somebody is messing up something that I'm working on, I'm going to tell you you're messing it up. Mm-hmm. I'm going to help you fix it. I'm not going to say it's okay, because it's not okay.
Right. Like, be real about it. Let's just get it out the way.
Okay. And so I just make it a point to tell it all and tell it fast. So even, in my now, if I feel like a lot of work is getting piled on me, or there have been times where, my boss has said, Jazz, can you take on A, B, and C? And I'll just have to say, you know what, I'm actually at capacity and I can't do that, but I can do this. Mm-hmm. Can someone help with these other things? And so, it's stuck with me all these years later.
Wow. And, it makes me think about PR as it is today. When you think about it today, you have the impact of social media, right? So, and do you have these celebrities going on social media all willy-nilly doing probably things that we did not plan to do, and the PR person has to come in and correct it? What do you think about the dynamic of social media with PR as it is today?
So, I think social media is a gift and a curse, and honestly, I don't work public relations industry, because the PR girls and guys have their work cut out for them.
Yes,
because when somebody wanted to say something before, they had to talk to their publicist. They crafted a statement. They told them what was right and wrong. And now, everybody has an iOS press release. Mm-hmm. That is half the time things that they shouldn't say. And so I think that in that way, social has been a gift and a one. It's given, fans and brands more access than ever to celebrities and public figures. But the other side of that is, honestly, we've gotten to know celebrities to a level that some people, we don't actually need to know you at this level, because
we know
we no longer like you. Like, I'm not a fan anymore. Mm-hmm. So I just think it's or worse has kind of shattered that very pristine public image that a lot of celebrities were able to maintain before social media was a thing, before there were phones on cameras were a thing. Yeah.
Look, nothing is a secret anymore. And then you giving me all your juice. Like, what is going on? All right, Jasmine, let's jump into the political aspect of your life. I want to know, how did growing up in a military family shape your view of justice and equity?
Ooh, okay, yeah. So I think that it's double-sided. Mm-hmm. So typically when I think about the military and I think about the military experience, I think about how, you know, a lot of Black and brown folks go into the military because it is a career, it is stability, it is a good life. Um, but also, you know, you're taking your kids and your family along with you for that. And not every city, not every town, community, high school, elementary is welcoming to that Black and brown family. And for my dad's, like, you know, last duty station before he retired, we were out west, like I said, in Washington, at Fort Lewis, which is now, you know, Lewis McCord. And so the high school that I went to, because, you know, of where it was situated in terms of the military bases and the you know, large Pacific Islander population, you would say that our school was very diverse. But there were still, you know, issues at hand. Like, I was in student government, and I'll never forget the junior class council. I was a sophomore at the time. The junior class council had like a secret Santa gift swap. And the president of the class, of the junior class, her name is Ashley. She's a Black woman. And the guys had gotten her this secret Santa gift, and it was a stuffed monkey.
No.
It was a stuffed monkey, and they gave it to her. And she, like, I'll never forget, you immediately saw her face change, and she was completely offended. They looked completely clueless, like, what's going on? Why? Like, she left, and we ended up having to have, like, you know, what was equivalent to a fireside chat, where we all had to sit down and talk about what happened, and really, like, do some educating in terms of, you know, this is why this is wrong and bad, and why you should never ever do it. And honestly, to a certain extent, it never felt like it fully clicked for the guy responsible for the gift. But being a military family, going back to the question with, you know, the thoughts of justice and equity, is that, and so is not the situation where you are surrounded by people who look like you. It's not the situation where you feel most comfortable. But being in the family that I was in, and being on that base where I saw so many different kinds of people having to work together in their battalions for the jobs that they were doing, like, you still have to speak up.
Yeah.
You don't have full self. It doesn't matter if it's the most comfortable situation or if you are in a room full of strangers. And so that's something that I've always taken with me, you know, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if I actually want to be the one to say something. If something needs to be said, then it's up to me to take that on and be able to say, you know, when something is not right.
Exactly. And you know what? I share share with you some of those experiences coming from a military family, and having to go to different schools, and facing racism right in front of me. Even at Millington High School, I had to deal with it. And I had to speak up, like you mentioned, because they act like they didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm like, no, you don't do that. Girl, it was a mess, but I totally empathize with you on that experience. Now, just thinking of, you know, the current political realm that we're in now, what do you think people should be paying attention to for this next election cycle?
Um, okay, so there's a few things. So I'll start by saying my general philosophy when it comes to politics is that, you know, people say I'm not political, I don't do
Yeah.
politics, but politics is ultimately, it's people, it's your community. It's the things that are going to affect you and also your children and the people you like and love. So I call politics people. And so the things that are coming up that people need to be aware of is, you know, we are a year out at this point from a governor's race. Just thinking at the state level here in Tennessee. The other thing is, you know, Marsha Blackburn's seat is going to be
Yeah.
up for Senate. And I don't know about you, but I think she needs to go. No, I know she needs to go.
I hate her commercials.
So there is a certain donut place that I no longer go to that I really, really liked because they let her pop in and buy donuts for everybody on election day last time around. So yeah, Marsha. Um,
Bust her out.
yes, but yeah, I mean, midterm elections are right around the corner, and I know everyone's like, well, there are certain people who are less energetic or were less energetic about the Biden-Harris administration. And the thing that I always say is that, like, you can have a president just like when we had Barack Obama, but the Senate majority was Republican. So we don't get the ideals and the things that, whoever we put in as president, those things aren't realized without the appropriate representation in the legislative branches. So I just encourage people to vote in every election, whether that's mayor, city council, county commission, all of those. And, just in terms of timeliness and the city of Memphis, I don't know if people are aware of everything that's going on with this Byhalia pipeline conversation.
Mm.
And do you know who gets to vote on the potential jeopardy of our sand aquifers and our water supply and running a gas pipeline through a primarily Black community? The
Mm.
city council votes on that. And who picks the city council? We do.
We do.
And so it's not about just it. While yes, you want to go to the polls and you want to vote, but then also hold those people accountable. If someone says they're going to do something, you are their constituent. Call their office, send them an email, leave a voicemail. We have to have higher expectations for the people that we put in office and hold them accountable that they're going to do what we put them there to do. And a lot of times, we see people do things that we wouldn't necessarily agree with or, negatively impact our communities. And that's because they don't feel like they're held to task for it. And, sometimes that means that the best candidate, unfortunately, it isn't the candidate that looks like you.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that I'm a Democrat, so I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote outside of party lines. But I mean, yeah, I think that you have to look at the issues and not just the identity of the people that you're voting for as well.
Exactly.
That was a roundabout answer.
I love it. I love it though. But it makes me think, you mentioned with this pipeline, with water supply, just even with the disaster we just had with this weather, right? And all of these people with still on boil water alert. Like, why are we not prepared in instances like this? So that's just one example. Also with the Shelby County and these COVID vaccines, how they let them go expire, right? And now I believe, is it the city, the county is taking over for the city, or vice versa at this point?
The city is taken over from the health department.
From the health department. Like, what the hell happened in that situation? That's major. That is major.
Yes, it is. It's major and it's critical because honestly, that's 2,400 people that aren't going to get a first dose, or there's 2,400 people that aren't going to get that second dose,
That's
or
crazy.
there's going to be a delay or a lag in people being able to get the vaccination that they need, which puts us one step further behind getting out.
Yeah, I mean, we already got cabin fever stuck in this damn house. Shit.
Yes, and the snow did not make it better.
No. Jasmine, since I mentioned this vaccine, what are your thoughts on that? Are you taking the vaccine? Do you believe in science?
So I absolutely believe in science, and if I'm going to be honest, because that's what we're doing here, I had a lot of hesitations at first, like, I don't know. And I think that, as Black and brown people, especially as Black people, there is a general mistrust, a warranted mistrust for public health and for the scientific community. When you look at, you know, the Tuskegee study and everything that happened there, you know, I have an aunt who went in for a routine procedure at a hospital in New York a few decades ago, and they gave her a hysterectomy.
No.
And there is a history of doctors giving hysterectomies, taking reproductive organs from Black women, sterilizing them as a way to limit the growth of our community and future generations. And so, you know, there is a warranted mistrust there. But I've done my research. You know, I looked into it. It's made from RNA, so it's not a weakened version of COVID. You aren't going to get COVID from the vaccine. My aunt has taken the vaccine. I know people in my personal life who've not just had round one, but who have had both rounds and are fine. And so when I thought about it, having, you know, a mother who is over the age of 60, who I love and who I want to see often, and having a mother-in-law who has stage 4 cancer, I don't want to be the person that puts their health and wellness in jeopardy because I was skeptical of a vaccine that has shown no reason to be skeptical. So thanks to, you know, Snowmageddon 2021 here in Memphis, the health department had a bunch of open slots at the Pipkin building on Valentine's Day. And so I was able to go and wait in the line for a few hours, and I was able to get round one of the vaccine.
Okay.
And honestly, I'm thankful for it because I'm one step closer to knowing that I'm not putting myself at risk, and I'm not putting the people I love at risk by unknowingly spreading COVID to them.
Wow, Jasmine, you may be the first person that I have talked to that has had that I'm having a conversation with that has taken the vaccine. A few of my friends on social media has, and I may have asked a couple of questions, but okay, while I got you on here, okay, did you take the Moderna or Pfizer, or which one was it?
So I took round one of the Pfizer vaccine, and I felt fine after I took it. My arm was sore, but honestly, I work on a hospital campus. I take the flu vaccine every year. My arm is sore when I take the flu vaccine. So it wasn't any different from taking the flu shot, honestly, in terms of how I felt.
And no extra effects that you've noticed since Valentine's Day? Nothing extra, nothing different?
No, I felt fine. And I had another friend, she actually just got round one, and she works in the healthcare field. And she said, you know, she waited because she, one, needed to get an appointment, and two, she wanted to talk to her doctor and her OB, just to make sure that there weren't going to be any potential harmful effects for her and her reproductive health. And, you know, like I said, she's got in round one. But I think, you know, it's a personal decision. It's a choice that everybody has to make for themselves. Mm-hmm. But I just implore people to, like in anything, seek out research and information from multiple sources. So if you only get your information from Fox News, or if you only get your information from CNN, you're only getting one side of the story. And the same is true with the vaccine. So I think that there's a lot of information that we have access to out here. And I just implore everyone to read and do their research and make their own decision. And if you choose not to get it, then also take the responsibility not to put other people at risk, not to put other people in harm's way.
You know what? I really think, Jasmine, it's going to get to the point where it may be mandatory soon, because I've spoken with a PR person that I'm working with. I'm booking someone for the podcast, right? So they invited me to this event. And I said, sure, send me the details, right? I didn't know if it was inside, virtual, what we was doing. So they sent me the event via text. And guess what? For this event to go, you know, you have to have your COVID results before you walk in the door. Wow. I said, what? But I can understand. I can understand that whole thing. And that's just like a premiere event for like a celebrity, right? So just think, all of these jobs, employers, that's probably coming down the line. You got to have this test before you walk in the door. I
And
see it coming.
honestly, I mean, even look at the state of travel right now. Like
Yes.
everyone has, cabin fever and is itching to get on a plane and go somewhere, but a lot of countries are instituting, protocols where you have to show proof of a negative COVID test, or you have to quarantine for X number of times in your X number of days in your hotel room. So I think that the writing is on the wall for more broad implications for having the vaccine. But I think that that's going to come as they're able to get more widespread distribution and availability of vaccines.
Yeah, we're gonna see how that pans out. We may not have a choice in the long run if we have to take it or not. So definitely do your research, guys. Now, Jasmine, you are a business coach. What led you to this role?
So honestly, I feel like as with many things in my life, it is the steps to the things are in a lot of ways divinely ordered. And a friend of mine, she left her corporate job a few years ago and said, she was starting a thing. And we're two people who talk about any given number of topics. We can talk about everything from business to politics to the latest ratchetry. And
Hey.
so she would ask me questions and pick my brain, and I have been just giving her my opinion on things as she was getting ramped up, as I've done for other friends over the years, really helping them to think about new ideas for growing their audience or building their customer base. And honestly, because I am a professional fundraiser, monetization is a sweet spot of mine. And so my friend Diamond, who is the founder and owner of Friends and Co., really asked me if I would consider coming on board as what she brands a clarity coach, to help small business owners get to their first 100 or their next 100 customers. And so it's really just, putting a formal title and some systems around stuff that I've been doing for friends for years. So yeah.
Wow, interesting. Now, I know that you are launching an IGTV show. Tell me more about the motivation behind this IGTV show.
Okay, so it all started last spring, and my mom is like, yes, your sister has been having these terrible toothaches. She needs to go to the dentist. So I call her. I'm like, what is going on with you? What is wrong? Like, you need to go to the dentist. And my sister's 26, and she's like, I don't know, it's really bad. She's been taking a lot of painkillers. I'm like, well, why don't you go to the dentist? She's like, well, I didn't enroll for dental insurance during open enrollment last year, so I'm gonna have to wait. And she's a teacher, so she's like, I'm gonna have to wait until the fall when school starts and they have open enrollment again. And in my mind, as someone who has always been like, I need to have insurance. Like,
Yeah.
I can't be out here hanging if something happens. I'm just like, my head is exploding, but she doesn't respond well to that. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I have a friend and former, girl I know from school. She's a dentist. Let me call her. I'll see if she can see you. I know that maybe she might have some options for people that don't have insurance. So I called her. I talked to my friend, and she's like, oh, well, you can get this specific credit card that's for medical expenses, and they have a very generous interest rate, or 6 months, same as cash type of thing. So if she needs to, have her consider this. So helping my sister work through the situation, ended up she needed a root canal. And so after she had the original appointment with the friend of mine, one of my Spelman sisters, Zarita, she had to go see an oral surgeon to get the root canal and then go back to Zarita to get everything finished. It cost thousands of dollars that it wouldn't have cost her if she had dental insurance. And so, you know, we went back and forth talking about dental insurance. And then as I've been on this journey to like be debt free, I've just been like talking to her about like the importance of, you know, eliminating consumer debt and, you know, the methods that I use to get rid of my debt, all of that. And so all of that just boiled down to like all of these conversations that I don't feel like people are inherently having every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about it and I'm like, we should do a little like IGTV show. And so the show is called Listen Sis. It
I
hasn't
love that
launched
title.
yet.
I love it. I love it.
But I think that like while I am very type A, like corporate America, my sister is a teacher. She, you know, does sound baths and yoga and meditation and, you know, CBD tea and all of these things to like really lean into her, like her rest and her downtime. But she also like sends me all the best TikTok videos because I have TikTok, but I don't know what to do with it. And so just really an opportunity for us to have this like sharing and exchanging of information and knowledge from two very different perspectives. So yeah, so
It
just
sounds like you two are going to balance each other out, you know. So has it already launched?
it has not. We are still developing all of our content and really getting our plan together for show format. So the plan is to launch this spring.
I am looking forward to it, Jasmine. It sounds like it's going to be very interesting and entertaining as well. Wow. So lastly, what I want to ask you, Jasmine, you know, just in your personal space, you know, since like we've mentioned several times, COVID, it's still here, it's still a part of our lives. How are you moving forward with your life and with the impact of COVID? I know you've taken a vaccine. I mean, do you feel like you can get out more because you've taken it, or are you going to move differently because you've taken it? Like, just tell me your whole world with COVID. How has that affected your life?
You know what? COVID has honestly affected every aspect of my life. Professionally, and what a lot of people in the like business and tech space have said, which I found to be true, is that COVID has accelerated changes that were maybe 5 years down the line when it comes to like technology and shopping and how people do business and how they work. And so having just that rapid transformation happen really without warning, it caused a lot of businesses and organizations, even nonprofits, to have to react to that change. So, you know, for me, our organization has been going through a restructure, and it accelerated changes that I think probably were a little bit further down the line. So I have a new job by virtue of that, and a new team to work with, and a new role to learn. And so that's how it has affected me professionally. Personally, I'm thankful that I know very few people in my day-to-day life that have been impacted by COVID. But I lost one of our like very cherished coworkers. She was older and she retired last summer, and she passed away of COVID shortly before the holiday season. She was in the hospital. She was on a ventilator, and she ended up losing her battle with COVID. And you know, over the last, I say like 6-7 months, between my family and my husband's family, we've lost 4 loved ones, not due to COVID, but the way that you're able to grieve and mourn and celebrate the people that you love when they transition is very different in
Yes.
COVID. And so having to, you know, do that in a mask and say, you know, we can only have 40 people, or, you know, this has to be graveside in the middle of winter. all of those things, I feel like impact how you're able to express grief and loss. And so that's kind of how it has impacted me personally on a much more trivial level. I have a milestone birthday, and my wonderful husband had surprised me. We were taking a trip to Paris for 10 days,
Oh
and
la la.
well, it's currently canceled.
Oh,
Because
COVID.
there is you cannot come, and actually if you do, nothing is open. So thank you, but no thank you. So that's something that is being delayed. It's on the back burner. So yeah, COVID has absolutely impacted every area of my life, but because I won't make it all, COVID rained on my parade. I will say that the gift of COVID and being at home and being on lockdown is, I've always traveled for work for the entire time my husband and I dated. Like, he has no, like, it's just accepted. I'm going to be gone this day to this day. Can you drop me off at the airport? Can you pick me up? Well, for the first time in the 5+ years we have been together, like, we had 16 consecutive weeks of waking up and seeing each other and going to sleep and seeing each other and spending a lot of time in between together.
Yes.
And that is very different. And I'm not going to say that it was all roses and sunshine, but the one thing I'll say is, it gave us the opportunity to build our relationship even better, to make it stronger, to have that quality time together, and to really be able to see each other through, like, the tough spots that COVID has produced. I think it's also given people a chance to sit down, for better or worse.
Yes.
People have to sit down, and I think we're all guilty of busying away some of our stuff. I'll deal with this later. I don't have time to talk about this now because I have ABCD thing to do. And so COVID has forced, I think, a lot of people, self included, to really look in the mirror at the stuff that we've been running from and do the hard work, whether that's internally with ourselves or that's externally with our relationships, or what we do for work or what our passions are. It's been a magnifying glass on all the squeaky wheels and
Look, right at the end, I got you back, Jasmine. It ended on all the squeaky wheels, but I definitely feel you on what you're saying about COVID, because it has definitely brought my family unit closer together. Spending more time with my kids now. I'm working from home. I see my husband more. Like, when I think about it, I was going, wouldn't sit my ass down nowhere. I had to go to the next gig and the next gig. And this was a really good break for me. Even though I'm feeling some cabin fever, this was a really good sit down moment. And like you said, evaluate those things that I've been neglecting, working on some projects that I need to, so I feel you on that. I'm glad you and hubby could spend some more, some quality time together,
Yes, me
I might be
too.
coming to a baby shower soon, a virtual baby shower or something like that. Look, a virtual baby shower. That sounds crazy, don't it? Look, she laughing hard.
Oh my God. Some friends had a virtual baby shower last week.
Did you attend?
You know what? I did not get on Zoom. I sent our gifts in advance, but I haven't participated in a virtual bridal shower already. I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna send my love in the form of this gift, and I don't want to log off for this.
Yeah, it's too many logons now. I had a friend that got married, and it happened like so quick. I had forgot to log in. I was like, oh, I felt so bad. I was like, I need that registry link, like you said. Let me send this gift.
Yeah, I'm sending my love in the form of a gift, but I'm on screens all day during the week, so I generally try to take some time away from Zoom on the weekend.
I got you. I got you. Well, Jasmine Wilson, I have definitely enjoyed you today on the Verbally Effective podcast. We have learned so much about you. I think that you are amazing. And this entire business coach realm you're getting into, I can already tell you're going to be extremely successful with that. I may be needing to call you up for a few things, especially about monetization, as you mentioned.
I
Hey,
receive it. I receive it.
look, it's so many ways that you can monetize, but I'm sure you probably have thought about some things I have not thought about. So I need to pick your brain a minute,
Let's talk.
Jasmine.
Let's talk.
Yes, well, I wish you nothing but success. And thank you so much for being my guest today on the Verbally Effective podcast. If you would, please give everyone your social media handles and how they can keep up with Jasmine Wilson.
Yes, yes. Okay, so I don't tweet, but I do have a Twitter, and but I spend most of my time on Instagram. So by all means, follow, check me out. I'm Watch J, just the letter J, work on Instagram. I am Jasmine Wilson on Facebook. That's my most family friendly, mom approved content. And also, if you happen to live in Senate District 30 in Memphis, or live in Tennessee and are a Democrat, by all means, I am Jasmine Boyd, committee woman, TN District 30. I have a page on Facebook. So you can find me there. And I generally try to keep that updated with what's going on related to the party in the state.
Yes, I know you are keeping us updated, honey. We are definitely gonna, clue in, tie into your socials. And once again, thank you so much, Jasmine, for joining me today on the Verbally Effective podcast.
Thank you, Ina.
You're welcome.